The starship hummed quietly as it drifted into orbit around the capital planet of the Zarinth Empire. Below, the gleaming city sparkled with lights that reflected off towers taller than Ethan had ever seen on Earth. He pressed his face against the small viewport of the ship, eyes wide. Everything about this place was alien and magnificent. The sky glowed with two suns, one golden and one pale blue, casting strange colors across the buildings. Ethan, a human diplomat and scientist, took a deep breath. This mission was supposed to be simple. Meet the rulers of the Zarinth Empire, discuss a trade and technology alliance, and return to Earth. But already the scale of what he had entered made his stomach twist with excitement and nerves. Humans were extremely rare in this part of the galaxy, and the Zarinth viewed them as both fascinating and unusual. Ethan had trained for months, but nothing could have prepared him for the reality. As the ship touched down in the central landing bay, dozens of Zarinth officials in bright ceremonial uniforms bowed and waved. Their skin shimmered in shades of violet and silver, and their eyes were unusually large and luminous. Ethan stepped out slowly, trying to remain calm, but he felt like a small child in a world of giants. "You are Ethan of Earth?" a melodious voice asked. Ethan turned to see a tall figure approaching. Her movements were graceful, her posture perfect. She wore a flowing robe of deep blue and silver. Ethan noticed the crown-like headpiece that marked her as royalty. "Yes," Ethan said politely, offering a hand as though they would shake, though he wasn't sure if Zarinth customs included it. The figure smiled gently. "I am Princess Liara, eldest of the three royal sisters. Welcome to Zarinth. We are honored to host you." Ethan blinked. "Three sisters?" he asked, unsure if he had heard correctly. Liara's smile remained. "Yes. Our law states that when a human becomes betrothed to a royal, the bond must extend to all three sisters. It strengthens the connection between our species." Ethan felt his mind freeze. He had read the briefing documents, but he hadn't expected this. "Wait. I thought—" He stopped, realizing words would fail. Liara tilted her head in amusement. "It is not meant to alarm you. You will have time to understand our customs. You are safe, honored, and respected. Please come with me." Ethan followed her through the grand hall. The architecture was breathtaking. Towers of crystal and metal spiraled toward the sky. Holographic banners floated in midair, showing images of the royal family and scenes of historic victories. The air smelled faintly of flowers and something he couldn't identify. Every step he took made him feel smaller and smaller, yet strangely more important. In the throne room, Ethan saw two other figures waiting. One was playful and bold, moving with easy energy. The other was serene, calm, and intelligent-looking. Liara gestured toward them. "These are my sisters," she said. "Sarah and Talia." Ethan nodded awkwardly, introducing himself to each. Sarah laughed brightly, a sound that echoed through the hall. "So, you're the human? They told me you were unusual," she said, teasing but friendly. Talia's gaze was quiet and thoughtful. "We hope you will adapt well to our ways," she said softly. Her eyes seemed to look right through Ethan, as if she were reading his thoughts. Ethan swallowed. He had met royalty before on Earth, but never like this. I will do my best," he said. "I want to understand your customs and respect your laws." Liara smiled again. "That is all we ask. Our laws may seem strange to humans, but they are ancient and honored. You will learn, and we will guide you." The day passed quickly with ceremonies and introductions. Ethan was presented with gifts: a cloak that shimmered like liquid silver, a small crystal that glowed when he held it, and a device that translated Zarinth speech into Earth languages instantly. Everywhere he went, Zarinth officials looked at him with curiosity and respect. Even though the law of betrothal surprised him, he began to feel welcome. Later, as the sun and the pale blue twin dipped low in the sky, Liara guided Ethan to a balcony overlooking the city. "You may wonder why humans are so special to us," she said quietly. "I do," Ethan admitted. "I don't know what I did to deserve this." Liara laughed softly. "It is not about deserving. Humans are rare, yes, but we admire your resilience, creativity, and courage. Even in your small numbers, humans survive in ways that surprise the galaxy. That is why our law calls for you to bond with all three sisters. We wish to share your strengths with our people." Ethan looked at the city stretching below, realizing the weight of what he had entered. "So, I'm legally supposed to marry all three of you?" "Yes," Liara said, her voice gentle but firm. "But you need not fear. It is not a punishment. It is an honor, and it is our way of protecting our people and forming a strong bond with your species." Ethan exhaled slowly, feeling overwhelmed. I'll try to understand. This is a lot for me." Sarah leaned against the balcony railing, grinning. "Don't worry, we'll make it fun. Maybe a little strange, but fun." Talia gave him a small, approving nod. "You will need patience and courage," she added. Ethan laughed nervously. "I think I have a little of both." Liara placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then you will survive here, human. And perhaps in time you will thrive." As the twin suns set, Ethan felt a strange mix of fear and excitement. He had entered a world that was completely alien, bound by laws he barely understood, and surrounded by people unlike anyone he had ever met. Yet, beneath the fear, a spark of hope lit in his chest. Maybe, just maybe, he could not only survive, but make a difference in this galaxy. And so, the human diplomat's journey in the Zarinth Empire began, not just as a visitor, but as a participant in a law and culture far older and stranger than anything on Earth. The first night in the royal palace, Ethan lay awake, listening to the alien hum of the city and wondering how he could live up to both the honor and the challenge that awaited him. Little did he know, his human traits, curiosity, courage, and kindness, would soon prove to be more powerful than any alien law shaping the future of the Zarinth Empire itself. The next morning, Ethan awoke to the soft light of the twin suns spilling into his chamber. The walls of the royal guest room shimmered gently, changing colors as the sun moved across the sky. He stretched and rubbed his eyes, trying to process everything that had happened the day before. Being in the Zarinth Empire was like living in a dream, yet he knew that today would be far more complicated than simply admiring the view. A soft knock sounded at the door. "Ethan, are you ready?" Liara's melodic voice called from outside. "Yes, I'm ready," he said nervously. He smoothed his hair, straightened his robes, and opened the door. Liara stood there, radiant as ever, her smile calm and encouraging. "Come, the sisters are eager to meet you properly," she said. Ethan followed her down a long corridor filled with floating lanterns. At the end of the hall, Sarah and Talia awaited him, each standing in front of a different window that overlooked the city. Sarah waved energetically, her violet eyes sparkling with curiosity. Talia, on the other hand, was calm, standing straight, with a soft, almost serious expression. "Good morning, Ethan," Sarah said, her voice bright. "I hope you slept well. Ready for some adventures?" Ethan blinked. "Adventures? I suppose I'm ready, yes." He tried to sound confident, but felt like he was stumbling over every word. Talia stepped forward, holding a small metallic device that glimmered in the sunlight. "Before adventures, we must learn about each other," she said calmly. "Humans are unusual, And we must understand your ways, just as you will learn ours. Ethan nodded, feeling slightly relieved that there was some structure to this process. Of course. I want to understand your customs. I want to do everything respectfully. Sarah grinned. Perfect. Then we'll start with a small tour and some trials. She winked. Ethan felt a twinge of nervousness. Trials? He wasn't sure if he was ready for that. Liara guided them to a large courtyard in the palace gardens. The air smelled sweet with alien flowers, and small, glowing creatures flitted through the air like fireflies. The courtyard contained strange contraptions and holographic devices that Ethan didn't recognize. This is where we begin, Liara explained. Our culture values courage, intelligence, and creativity. The trials will test these qualities, not to punish you, but to teach and to bond us together. Ethan swallowed hard. I'll do my best, he said. Sarah clapped her hands. Good. Let's start with courage. She led him to a floating platform hovering a few meters above the ground. You must step onto the platform and cross to the other side. The platform will move, tilt, and change height. Do not fall. Ethan's eyes widened. Step onto that? Are you serious? Completely serious, Sarah said, laughing. But don't worry, you won't be hurt. It's just about balance and bravery. Taking a deep breath, Ethan stepped onto the platform. Immediately, it began to wobble. He flailed his arms, stumbled, and nearly fell, but somehow managed to reach the other side, panting heavily. The sisters clapped and cheered. Well done, Liara said, her smile warm. You showed courage and determination, qualities we admire in humans. Ethan gave a weak laugh. That was harder than I expected. Next is intelligence, Talia said, leading him to a large holographic puzzle. Floating symbols hovered in the air, moving constantly. Solve this puzzle, and it will teach you how we think and communicate abstract ideas. Ethan stared at the symbols, trying to make sense of them. He studied the patterns carefully, applying logic and intuition. Slowly, he began to arrange the symbols into the correct sequence. It took time, sweat, and a few wrong moves, but finally, the puzzle glowed brightly, signaling completion. Well done, Talia said softly. You have the ability to understand and adapt, which is rare in humans and precious to our people. Sarah grabbed Ethan's arm and dragged him toward the last trial. Now comes creativity! Follow me! She led him to a vast open space filled with blank holographic canvases. You must design something that represents you. Use your imagination. Do not worry about perfection. Just show your human spirit. Ethan hesitated, feeling exposed. He closed his eyes for a moment, then thought of Earth, of its skies, rivers, forests, and cities. He opened his eyes and started forming shapes in the holographic space. Colors, floating structures, and small, glowing creatures appeared as he worked, each piece representing an element of humanity he cherished: curiosity, resilience, and connection. When he finished, Sarah and Talia gasped in amazement. Liara nodded, approvingly. You express yourself clearly, honestly, and beautifully. That is the human way, using creativity to overcome obstacles and to connect with others. It is why we value your kind. Ethan's chest swelled with pride. Thank you. I didn't know it would mean so much. Sarah leaned close and whispered playfully. See? You're already starting to impress us. The sisters spent the rest of the morning introducing Ethan to smaller customs, how to bow properly, how to eat without offending anyone, and even some traditional Zarinth games. Ethan stumbled more than once, but the sisters laughed with him, rather than at him, and slowly he began to feel more comfortable. By midday, Ethan realized something surprising. Despite the strange law, he genuinely liked the sisters. Liara's wisdom, Sarah's energy, and Talia's calm intelligence made them not just royal figures, but people he could admire and respect. He also noticed the admiration they held for him, not as a mere husband, but as a human, capable of courage, creativity, and problem-solving. As the suns reached their peak, the sisters led Ethan to a quiet garden filled with soft, glowing plants. "You are learning quickly," Liara said. "Humans often struggle at first, but you adapt. That is why our law connects us with you. We believe your spirit can strengthen our people." Ethan looked at her, unsure what to say. I hope I can live up to your expectations." Sarah grinned. "Expectations? Don't worry. Just be yourself. That's what matters most." Talia nodded. "Your human qualities, your creativity, courage, and curiosity are already teaching us something. You are part of our world now, whether by law or by choice." Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth he had not expected. He was still overwhelmed by the strange law and the unusual situation, but for the first time, he felt the beginnings of belonging. He realized that humans could thrive even in alien worlds, not because of power or size, but because of heart, mind, and spirit. As the day ended, the sisters guided Ethan back to the palace. The twin suns began to set, casting long shadows across the shimmering buildings. For the first time, Ethan looked forward to tomorrow, not just for the trials or the laws, but for the chance to continue learning, exploring, and forming bonds that could change both his life and the Zarenth Empire forever. The next day, Ethan woke to the soft hum of the palace. The twin suns had just risen, casting gentle light across the crystal walls. Today, the sisters told him, would be different. It would not only test his courage and creativity, but also his ability to navigate the subtle rules of Zarenth society. Liara entered Ethan's chamber, her serene smile reassuring him. "Today you will face the formal trials of our court," she explained. "They are designed to show loyalty, wisdom, and respect. Do not be afraid. We will guide you." Ethan swallowed, his stomach twisting. "Trials again? Are they dangerous?" Liara shook her head. "No, only challenging. Our people value skill and judgment. That is what we will see in you." He nodded, trying to appear confident. He had survived yesterday's tests of courage and intelligence, but the stakes today felt higher. Today it wasn't just about the sisters. It was about the Zarenth Empire itself. The first trial took place in the Central Council Hall. Ethan entered a room filled with hovering platforms, holographic screens, and alien officials seated in high chairs. Each official's gaze was sharp and curious, assessing him silently. Ethan felt small under their scrutiny, but he straightened his back and stepped forward. Liara guided him to the first challenge, the trial of words. A holographic interface presented complex Zarenth etiquette scenarios. Ethan had to choose the correct responses to questions and dilemmas. A wrong answer would not harm him, but it would show disrespect and create tension. Ethan studied carefully. The questions were unlike anything he had seen. They involved subtle gestures, tones of voice, and even the order in which he addressed officials. At first he struggled, choosing awkward options that made the officials raise their eyes in surprise. Sarah leaned close and whispered, "Just think like a Zarenth. Pay attention to patterns, and don't be afraid to trust your instincts." He nodded, adjusting his approach. Slowly, he began to notice patterns in their culture, the way respect was shown through gestures, the timing of speech, and the way humility was valued. By the end of the trial, he had impressed most officials. Liara's soft nod and the approving glance from Talia gave him a sense of relief. "Very well," Liara said. "You are learning quickly. Now courage once more." The second trial was the trial of strength and balance, set in a massive courtyard surrounded by flowing water streams. Ethan had to navigate a path across moving platforms, each suspended above a shallow pool of glowing liquid. The platforms shifted unpredictably, some rising suddenly while others lowered. Ethan stepped onto the first platform carefully, his arms outstretched. It wobbled violently, but he managed to adjust his balance, using quick thinking rather than brute force. The second platform was even trickier, tilting sideways as he stepped. He stumbled, nearly falling, but caught himself at the last second. Sarah clapped and laughed. "You're not perfect, but that's okay. Humans are clever when they have to be." Talia's voice was calm. "Cleverness, combined with caution, is respected here. You are showing both qualities." By the time he reached the end, Ethan's legs were tired, but his confidence had grown. Each trial revealed more than physical skill. It revealed the human ability to think quickly, adapt, and persevere under pressure. The final trial of the day was the trial of harmony, which tested Ethan's creativity and emotional intelligence. The sisters led him to a large chamber filled with floating lights and musical instruments that emitted glowing sounds. Ethan had to create a melody that symbolized the bond between humans and Zarinth. At first, he felt overwhelmed. He had never composed music for anyone outside of Earth. But as he touched the instruments, he allowed his human instincts to guide him. He combined rhythms from Earth, simple melodies, and patterns inspired by the movements of the floating lights. Slowly, a unique, harmonious tune emerged. The chamber glowed brighter as the melody filled the air. The sisters' faces lit up. Liara's smile was proud. "You see, Ethan? Creativity and empathy are universal. Even humans, new to our world, can understand and honor our traditions." Sarah clapped her hands. "That sounded amazing." "You really are a human who can make a difference," Talia nodded. "This shows more than talent. It shows respect, understanding, and connection, qualities that our law seeks in a partner." After the trials, the sisters led Ethan to a private garden within the palace. Soft, glowing plants swayed gently in a warm breeze. Ethan sat on a bench, exhausted but exhilarated. "You did well today," Liara said, sitting beside him. "The officials are impressed. More importantly, the sisters are learning to trust you, not just because of law, but because of who you are." Ethan smiled faintly. "I still feel like I'm fumbling through everything. I don't know if I'm really ready to be part of this world." Sarah nudged him playfully. "Ready? Maybe not fully, but you're trying. And trying counts. For a lot in our eyes." Talia's calm voice followed. "Humans have a quality that many aliens lack. You adapt, you think, and you persevere. That is why you can survive here and even influence our world." Ethan's mind wandered. He realized that every challenge, every awkward misstep had shown him something important. Humans were not merely small and fragile. Humans could thrive anywhere with creativity, courage, and intelligence. And the Zarinth law, strange as it was, allowed him to prove that truth. As evening fell, the palace lights shimmered like stars. The sisters invited Ethan to a quiet dinner, where the conversation was warm, filled with laughter and curiosity. They asked about his life on Earth, his interests, and his thoughts on the galaxy. In return, Ethan asked about Zarinth history, their culture, and their dreams for the Empire. By the end of the meal, Ethan felt something he hadn't expected: a growing connection to these sisters, to their people, and even to their strange laws. He realized that surviving and thriving in this world would require more than obeying rules. It would require understanding, respect, and using his human strengths to inspire trust and admiration. Liara's voice broke his thoughts. "Tomorrow, you will meet the Council of Elders and begin to learn more about the political challenges of our empire. Your human perspective will be valuable. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. Politics and diplomacy were far more complex than trials of courage or creativity, but he also felt a surge of determination. He was not just a visitor anymore. He was part of this world, bound by law and by respect, and maybe, in time, by friendship. As he lay in his bed that night, Ethan stared at the twin suns setting in the sky. He thought about the trials, the sisters, and the people who were watching him carefully. For the first time, he felt not fear or confusion, but possibility. Humans could thrive anywhere. Humans could adapt, survive, and even flourish among alien civilizations. And maybe, just maybe, he could help the Zarinth Empire grow stronger. In ways no one expected, tomorrow would be harder. But for now, he had proven something important. He was not just a human visitor. He was a human who could matter. And that was the first real step toward shaping both his future and the future of the Zarinth Empire. The morning sun rose over the Zarinth Empire, casting long, shimmering beams across the crystal towers. Ethan had barely finished breakfast when Liara summoned him to the council chamber. Today, he was to witness the political heart of the Empire, a place where decisions shaped entire star systems. Ethan followed the sisters through the ornate halls. The atmosphere was serious, tense. Unlike the playful trials of the last days, this was real business. Officials lined the walls, their expressions guarded, their eyes sharp. The sisters spoke quietly as they walked. "There is a matter that requires your perspective, Ethan," Liara said softly. "Our rivals in the Korlax Dominion have grown bold. They wish to test our alliances and exploit our traditions. Your insight as a human, with a perspective outside our laws, may help us." Ethan nodded. "I'll do my best," he said. He could feel the weight of the situation pressing on him. Humans were few in number. Yet here he was, expected to help protect an entire civilization. In the council chamber, holographic maps floated above a large table. The elders pointed to regions of contested space. Ships of the Korlax Dominion were massing near border planets, preparing to challenge Zarinth authority. The council debated fiercely, some officials insisting on strict adherence to law, others proposing swift military action. Ethan watched quietly, absorbing the patterns of their argument. Then Liara turned to him. "What do you suggest, human?" Ethan took a deep breath. "If I may, your law binds humans to all three sisters, which strengthens connections and trust. But if you move too quickly against the Korlax, you may appear aggressive. Perhaps there is a way to show strength without direct confrontation, a demonstration of capability without breaking tradition or putting people in danger." Several officials murmured. One elder raised an eyebrow. "Explain, human. What can you, of all species, propose?" Ethan stepped forward, pointing to the holographic map. "We can organize a series of drills and exercises, show our allies and rivals that we are united, capable, and ready. Use strategy, not force. Let the Korlax see that attacking us would be foolish. And maybe involve something only a human would think of, unexpected tactics they won't anticipate." Liara's eyes sparkled. "That is remarkably insightful. Humans often see solutions that others cannot." The council agreed to try Ethan's plan. Over the next several days, he worked closely with the sisters and military advisors. Sarah handled communications, her bold energy inspiring the troops. Talia monitored logistics, ensuring that everything ran smoothly. Liara oversaw the operations, her calm guidance keeping everyone coordinated. Ethan suggested creative drills, ships moving in unpredictable patterns, combined with holographic decoys and coordinated maneuvers designed to confuse observers. The Korlax Dominion, monitoring. The display from afar was taken aback. They had expected a straightforward response from the Zarinth, But what they saw was something new, clever, coordinated, and adaptive. During a review, Sarah turned to Ethan with a grin. "I didn't know humans could be this sneaky in a good way," Ethan laughed. "It's not sneaky, just thinking differently. You taught me how to observe patterns here. That helps," Talia nodded. "Your human perspective complements our strategies. You see solutions that we would overlook because we are too bound by tradition." Liara placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. "This is why humans matter. Your courage, creativity, and intelligence are not just admired, they are essential." The exercises continued for days. The council marveled as Ethan adapted his plans in real time, responding to new information, predicting potential moves by the Korlax, and coordinating with the sisters to maintain order. Slowly, the officials began to realize that humans could not be dismissed. Even by law, Ethan's presence among the sisters strengthened the Empire in ways no one had predicted. One evening, as Ethan reviewed data with Talia in the command center, Sarah entered with urgent news. "The Korlax are sending envoys. They want a meeting, and they mention the human diplomat specifically." Ethan froze. "Me? Why me?" Sarah shrugged. "They're curious, I guess, or maybe they fear what humans can do in our empire." Liara joined them moments later. "This is an opportunity. If you can negotiate wisely, you may prevent conflict before it begins. Remember, Ethan, courage, patience, and clarity will serve you well." The human diplomat took a deep breath. He had faced trials, strange laws, and alien customs, but negotiation with a hostile power was different. Yet he also understood that humans thrived in uncertainty. Humans adapted, observed, and turned challenges into opportunities. When the Korlax envoys arrived, the room was tense. Their ships glimmered outside the palace windows, symbols of power and intent. Inside, the envoys radiated authority, but Ethan remained calm. Liara introduced him formally, emphasizing his connection to the three sisters and his role as a trusted advisor. The Korlax ambassador, a tall figure with silver-blue skin, spoke first. "We have observed your empire's preparations. We are curious about the human who influences your strategies." Ethan nodded politely. "I am honored by your attention. I work with the sisters and council to ensure understanding and peace. Humans value dialogue and clever solutions, not needless conflict." The envoys studied him carefully. Then Ethan proposed a demonstration, one of the drills he had designed. He suggested a joint exercise showing defensive strength without any real danger. It would prove the Zarinth's capability while avoiding bloodshed. The Korlax envoys agreed. As the exercise unfolded, ships maneuvered precisely, holographic decoys moved unpredictably, and signals coordinated with remarkable speed. The demonstration impressed the Korlax beyond expectations. They realized that the Zarinth, aided by humans, were a formidable, adaptable civilization. Afterward, the lead Korlax ambassador spoke. "We underestimated humans and the Zarinth. We will reconsider our actions. Perhaps diplomacy is the wiser path." Ethan exhaled slowly, relief flooding him. The sisters smiled proudly. Liara's eyes glimmered with quiet approval. "You have done well, Ethan. Not with force, but with thought. That is human strength at its finest." Sarah laughed softly. "I knew humans were clever. I just didn't know they could outsmart an entire alien empire in a day." Talia nodded. "This will be remembered. You are more than a husband by law. You are a valued partner, a trusted advisor, and now a key figure in our empire's security." Ethan felt a strange mix of pride and humility. He was only a human, small and inexperienced compared to the Zarinth, yet his abilities, courage, creativity, and intelligence had made a real difference. For the first time, he truly understood the message Liara had shared when he arrived. Humans were capable of thriving anywhere, even in worlds far stranger than Earth. That night, as he stood on the balcony overlooking the glowing city, Ethan reflected on the day. He thought about the trials, the council, and the Korlax envoys. Each challenge had tested him in different ways, and each time he had discovered a strength he did not know he possessed. The sisters joined him, standing quietly. Liara's hand rested briefly on his shoulder. "You see, human, you are not here by chance. Your presence is meaningful. Your spirit strengthens our world." Ethan looked at the twin suns dipping below the horizon and smiled faintly. "I think I'm beginning to understand. Humans may be few, but we can make a big difference. And maybe that difference matters most when it is least expected." Sarah nudged him playfully. "Don't get too serious. But yes, you're doing well, human." Talia's calm voice added, "Your perspective is invaluable. We are fortunate to have you here, not just as a husband, but as a friend and ally." Ethan nodded, feeling a sense of belonging he had never experienced on Earth. He had faced strange laws, trials, and politics, and survived. He had adapted, learned, and contributed. He was a human, far from home, and yet thriving. And in that moment, he understood something important. Humans could not only survive in alien worlds, they could inspire change, respect, and even peace. The morning air in the Zarinth Palace was crisp, filled with the soft hum of energy flowing through the crystal walls. Ethan awoke with a sense of purpose. The past few days had been filled with trials, diplomacy, and lessons in culture. But today felt different. Today, he would begin to understand the sisters in a deeper way, and perhaps they would understand him as well. Liara entered his room, her calm smile warm. "Today, we will spend time outside the palace," she said. "It is important for you to see our people, their lives, and their dreams. Understanding them will help you, and they will begin to understand you." Ethan nodded, feeling a mix of nervousness and excitement. Walking among the people, he saw children playing in floating gardens, merchants trading colorful goods, and scholars teaching in open courtyards. The Zarinth moved with grace, yet Ethan noticed how their curiosity lingered on him. Humans were rare here, and he carried both the fascination and expectations of an entire civilization. Sarah bounded beside him, her energy infectious. "Come on, human! You'll see the real Zarinth, not just palaces and courts. Watch how we live, and maybe you'll teach us a few human tricks too." Talia followed quietly, observing Ethan with her thoughtful gaze. "The people will watch you closely," she said softly. "They already respect you because of your actions, but your behavior will inspire more than respect. It will inspire admiration." Their first stop was a training ground where young Zarinth practiced martial arts and agility. Ethan watched the children leap across floating platforms and spin through the air with incredible precision. One child stumbled and fell. Without thinking, Ethan ran forward, catching the young Zarinth before they hit the ground. The crowd gasped, then cheered. Liara smiled. "You see, humans are small, yet you act with courage and quick thinking. That inspires our people." Sarah clapped her hands. "I knew it! You're already a hero in their eyes, even if you're clumsy sometimes." Ethan laughed, brushing off the compliment. "I'm just trying to help." Next, they visited a market where merchants displayed glowing fruits, floating textiles, and tools Ethan had never seen before. Sarah dragged him to a stall selling intricate puzzles and games. "Here, human, let's see if you can solve one of these faster than a Zarinth child." Ethan smiled and took the puzzle in hand. The children gathered around, curious. He solved it quickly, using logic combined with creative thinking. The children clapped and laughed, delighted by his human approach. Even the merchants nodded approvingly. Talia watched quietly. "Your human perspective is unique," she said. "You solve problems differently, and that inspires our young ones to think differently too." By midday, Ethan realized something remarkable. The Zarinth respected humans not for strength or size, but for ingenuity, courage, and the willingness to act with kindness. His presence, combined with his actions, was slowly building trust and admiration across the empire. After lunch, the sisters led him to a council meeting where citizens presented ideas and concerns about trade, education, and city planning. Ethan listened carefully, offering suggestions that blended human ingenuity with Zarinth tradition. One elder remarked on a creative solution to improve resource distribution, and Liara highlighted Ethan's input as both innovative and respectful of Zarinth ways. Sarah whispered, "See? You're changing things already. That's human influence, right there." Ethan smiled faintly. "I just try to think differently. That's all I can do." Talia added, "That is exactly why humans matter. You are not just a visitor. You are a bridge between ideas, cultures, and perspectives." Later, the sisters invited Ethan to a quiet terrace overlooking the sparkling city. The twin suns reflected off the crystalline towers, bathing the scene in gold and pale blue. Ethan felt a strange peace settle over him. For the first time, he felt more than a guest. He felt part of something bigger. Liara spoke first. "Ethan, you have shown courage, creativity, and intelligence. More than that, you have shown kindness and respect for our culture. You are becoming more than a husband by law. You are becoming part of our people." Sarah grinned, nudging him playfully. "And don't forget, you've got a fan club already. Even the children cheer for you." Talia's calm voice added, "You are earning trust and admiration not by force, but through action and heart. That is human strength." Ethan felt warmth in his chest. I never expected this. I came here thinking I would just follow rules, survive trials, and maybe help a little. But it feels like I am learning and giving in ways I never imagined." Liara placed a hand on his shoulder. "That is the essence of our law. It is not about obligation alone. It is about connection, trust, and growth. Humans have a unique way of fostering these qualities." The sisters then guided Ethan to a small courtyard filled with glowing plants and interactive art. "Now," Sarah said, "let's see your creativity again. Show us something new, something that combines your human world with ours." Ethan studied the space. He thought of Earth, rivers, forests, skies, and cities. Then he added elements of Zarinth culture, the floating platforms, glowing lights, and harmony of movement. Slowly, shapes and colors formed in the air, blending both worlds. The sisters watched in awe. Liara's eyes glimmered. "You are teaching us as much as we teach you. Humans thrive because you combine observation, imagination, and courage. That is why your presence is valued beyond mere law." Sarah laughed softly. "I knew humans were clever, but I didn't know they could literally create beauty in the air." Talia smiled. "It is not just beauty, it is connection. You are showing us how two worlds can combine and thrive together." As the twin suns set, Ethan felt a profound sense of fulfillment. He had come to the Zarinth Empire as a guest, a diplomat, and a law-bound husband. But through courage, creativity, and empathy, he had become a valued friend, a respected partner, and an example of what humans could accomplish. Liara's voice was soft but firm. "Ethan, remember this. Humans are rare, yes, but your kind carries the power to adapt, to inspire, and to flourish. Never underestimate the difference one human can make." Ethan looked at the sisters, smiling genuinely. I think I'm beginning to understand. Humans may be small, but we can make a real difference, especially when we work with others like all of you. Sarah nudged him playfully. And that's why we like you, human. You're brave, clever, and you make life interesting. Talia added quietly. And you teach us to see the world differently. That is a gift. Ethan's heart swelled with a mix of pride and humility. He was still far from home, still adjusting to strange laws and customs. But he realized something incredible. He could thrive here, help these people, and even influence change in ways that mattered. Humans were capable of greatness, not because of power, but because of heart, mind, and spirit, and in that quiet, glowing courtyard surrounded by the sisters who had become friends, allies, and more, Ethan understood something essential. He was no longer just a visitor. He was a human who had found a place to belong, a purpose to pursue, and a future that he could shape alongside those who had once seemed so alien. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but today, Ethan had grown. He had proven that humans could adapt, inspire, and flourish, even in the most alien of worlds, and that growth, he knew, was only the beginning. The Zarinth Palace glimmered under the twin suns, their light reflecting in every crystal surface. Ethan woke early, feeling a mix of excitement and calm. Today was a day of celebration, of new beginnings. After weeks of trials, diplomacy, and cultural exchange, the Zarinth Empire had come to see him not merely as a visitor or law-bound husband, but as a valued member of their society. Liara entered his room with a gentle smile. Today, the council and the people honor you. Your actions have proven the strength of humans, not through force but through courage, intelligence, and heart. Ethan nodded, feeling a sense of pride and humility. I just tried to do what was right, he said softly. Sarah burst in energetically. Right? You've done more than that. Humans are amazing, Ethan. Today, everyone will see it. Talia followed, calm as ever. Your presence has changed more than policy and strategy. You have influenced culture, respect, and trust. That is why this day is important. The sisters led Ethan to the grand hall where citizens, council members, and officials had gathered. Holographic displays showed images of his past trials, exercises, and cultural contributions. Children waved flags, cheering. Merchants brought gifts of exotic fruits and flowers. The entire palace shimmered with celebration. Liara stepped forward to address the assembly. Citizens of the Zarinth Empire, today we honor a human Ethan who has shown courage, creativity, and wisdom beyond expectation. Through him, we have seen that strength does not always come from power alone, but from heart, mind, and spirit. The crowd erupted in applause. Ethan felt overwhelmed. He had never imagined that a human could be celebrated in an alien empire. Yet, standing beside the three sisters, he realized this was more than ceremony. It was recognition of the human ability to adapt, inspire, and thrive. Sarah leaned close and whispered, "See? I told you humans were impressive." Talia smiled. "You have proven more than your skills. You have proven the human spirit." Ethan stepped forward, feeling a mixture of nervousness and determination. "Thank you," he said to the assembly. "I came here as a guest, a stranger in your world. I followed your laws and your traditions. But more than that, I have learned from all of you, your courage, your creativity, your kindness. Humans thrive not because we are strongest or largest, but because we can think, adapt, and care. I hope that my presence here shows that our worlds, though different, can grow together." The hall was silent for a moment, then erupted into cheers again. The council members nodded approvingly. Even the youngest children clapped and laughed in delight. Ethan felt a warmth in his heart. This was more than victory. It was connection. After the ceremony, the sisters guided him to a quiet garden overlooking the city. Liara spoke softly, her hand resting on his shoulder. Ethan, the law required your connection to us, but your actions have made that connection meaningful beyond law. You have created trust, respect, and friendship. That is far more powerful than any rule. Sarah laughed lightly. And don't forget, you've also taught us to see things differently. Humans think in ways we never expected. Talia's calm voice added, "It is true. Through you, we have learned that collaboration between species is not only possible, but can strengthen our empire in ways tradition alone could not." Ethan smiled. "I never imagined that humans could have such an impact here. But I realize now. Our strength is in how we think, how we adapt, and how we connect with others." The sisters exchanged glances. Then Liara spoke. "And that is why we will continue together, not just bound by law, but by shared purpose. The Empire, our people, and even our culture are stronger for your presence." As the twin suns began to set, the palace courtyard filled with music and light. Citizens danced, children played, and Ethan joined the sisters, feeling the joy and unity of the Empire. He noticed how the people watched him, not with suspicion or curiosity, but with trust and admiration. Humans had earned a place among them, not through dominance, but through heart, mind, and spirit. Later, Ethan and the sisters stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The lights shimmered like stars, and a soft breeze carried the scent of glowing flowers. Liara's voice was calm and proud. "Ethan, you have proven that humans can thrive anywhere. You are not just a visitor. You are part of our legacy." Sarah grinned. "And you're part of ours too. We will always remember what humans can do when they try." Talia added, "Your courage, creativity, and intelligence have become part of the Zarinth culture. That is a rare gift, one that will endure." Ethan looked at the sisters, then at the glowing city below. He felt a sense of peace and purpose unlike anything he had ever known. Humans were small in the galaxy, yet capable of great influence. With courage, wisdom, and heart, they could thrive in any world, even one as alien as the Zarinth Empire. He realized that his journey was far from over. There would be new challenges, new opportunities, and new lessons. But for the first time, he knew he could face them with confidence. He was no longer merely a human among aliens. He was a human who belonged, who mattered, and who could shape the future. Liara placed a hand on his shoulder. "Together, we will face what comes next. Not just as law requires, but as friends. Allies and partners, humans and Zarinth can achieve greatness together." Sarah laughed softly. "And it's going to be fun. Trust me, human. Life here is never boring." Talia smiled quietly. "You have already changed the way we see the world. That is your gift, and it will endure." Ethan took a deep breath, looking at the stars beginning to appear above the palace. "I understand now. Humans survive by thinking, by caring, and by connecting. And together, we can thrive in ways I never imagined. I will do my best, not just for you or for the Empire, but because I believe that humans can make a difference, anywhere, anytime." The sisters smiled, and the city seemed to glow even brighter. Citizens continued to celebrate, and the palace lights reflected the harmony that had grown between humans and Zarinth. Ethan felt a joy that went beyond words. He had arrived as a stranger bound by strange laws. Now he stood as a bridge between worlds, proof that humans could thrive, inspire, and lead even in the most alien places. And as the twin moons rose, casting a silver glow over the crystal towers, Ethan knew this was only the beginning. A human's heart, mind, and courage had changed a galaxy, and the story of that human was just starting to unfold.